Welcome back to the Vera House podcast. Today's guest is Hayden Mater. He's a serial entrepreneur, a father, and a husband. He's an explorer and the founder of Mater Made, a micro-brand watch company built around a single purpose: to make timepieces that inspire curiosity, endurance, and a life well lived. By day, Hayden is a department head at an international commodity trading firm where he focuses on market strategy and operational leadership. But beyond the desk, he's a modern Renaissance man, a designer, athlete, and storyteller who believes business is a sport and life is meant to be explored. What began as a fascination with functional design evolved into Mater Made, a brand that merges innovation, exploration, and well-roundedness, three principles that define both his watches and his worldview. Each Mater Made watch is more than a product. It's a companion built for environments that test the limits of body and mind. From the middle of the desert to the middle of the ocean, and even to the racetrack and beyond, Hayden has taken Mater Made around the world to prove one thing: time is only valuable when you're truly living it. So welcome to the show, Hayden. I'm very excited to chat with you. I know Perry's excited to chat with you.
Yeah, man.
And we got a good group here, man. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And today we're living it. So I appreciate y'all having me on here and look forward to having some good conversation.
I've spent a bunch of time reading articles that you've written, watching videos that you and your team have put together. And we finished here by just talking about being in the middle of the desert, middle of the ocean, on the racetrack. And I think a good place to start is just talking about the adventures you've been on. I know you've spent a lot of time sponsoring ambassadors and bringing your product all around the country and around the world to like really cool places. Do you maybe have like a favorite trip that stands out?
I think they're all unique in their own way, which is why we chose them, because we wanted that diversity. But I would say that the trip that stands out the most would probably be the Frying Pan Tower trip.
I thought that one was super cool.
Right. That video too about Richard Neal, who is our brand ambassador, that's got the most views. It's closing in on 1 million. Hopefully we'll get there by the end of this year. But that atmosphere out there is just, I mean, it's like outer space. To be out 35 miles off the coast and to stay there, right? It's one thing to go offshore fishing where you're on a boat for, 4, 6, maybe 8 hours, but to be there and watch the sunset and then watch the sunrise. And it was just, that would be my favorite trip probably.
The time lapse of the sky was pretty insane.
The Milky Way, stars,
Yeah, it was super cool. I definitely had some envy watching that video. But those same things stood out, like just being in a different place than normal and standing on top of that thing, just looking around, and like all you can see is the ocean. It's just like the horizon of the water. And I'm sure it probably felt like space in a way, or like just a bit outer worldly or something, but it looked like an awesome trip.
It's just hard to describe it, but I think the only way that you could maybe relate to it is like if you're a beach person and you go to the beach, and when you're standing on the beach and you just look out and you just see nothing but water, and you feel that calming sensation kind of come over you. Mm-hmm. Multiply that times 10, 15, 20. And that is kind of what that feeling feels like, to stand up on that helipad. And it's a 360 degree view of just the horizon line. There's no dogs barking. There's no car alarms. I mean, it's just the seagulls underneath the tower squawking and just the waves crashing up against the support beams.
Wow. That's incredible. And just thinking about it and like imagining if you're there for an extended period of time, getting used to not hearing like car horns or being able to see things in the distance and you're just looking at the horizon and the ocean. It's got to be like super relaxing. And I'm curious, like when you came back, was there a little shift where you were missing being that secluded? Because I imagine when you're there for that long, you kind of get settled in, you get used to it a little bit, and then you're back in your regular daily life.
Oh, for sure. And Richard, he calls it the tower bounce.
Yeah.
So you go out to the tower and you get completely unplugged. And like you said, you kind of get in that rhythm of just being secluded. And then when you come back, it's very strange to see so many people, because when you're out there, it's you and whoever else is out there with you, and that's it. And then you come back to shore and you kind of have to readjust a little bit.
Yeah. That's cool though. Like I think every now and then you kind of need a little juxtaposition from your normal daily life, get a little perspective, remove the distractions, the phone's off. Probably don't have great service out there. I'm sure there isn't the internet. There's no corner store. There's no, things that are kind of pulling your attention in multiple different directions. So kind of get to reset a little bit.
That's why I like traveling so much, is because I think that when your brain gets in a routine, in a way, I think that it's good for you. But at the same time, when you get out of that routine, you learn so much about yourself and you grow as a person. And when you come back, you're able to maybe shift some things up that you didn't know you needed to shift up, whatever that may be, lifestyle change, friend changes, whatever. But that is what I've found the most enjoyable part about traveling is just getting your brain a little off axis and seeing things a little different. I don't know if you guys feel like that when you travel.
100%. Yeah. It gives you just a totally different perspective. I've spent some time out of the country for like extended periods of time, and then you come back and it's like, oh, and it just gives you like a nice, like, it's kind of like it's like a point on a plot map. It's like you go to some other place and you're like, all right, and you kind of make this little dot and you're like, all right, now I have this reference for a totally different perspective on life. And you carry that with you, no matter where you go and visit. I would imagine that place and many of your other adventures are probably very much like that, Yeah,
I mean, I'll never forget what it looked like out there.
Yeah.
And it's comfortable too. Like, I mean, I was kind of like thinking, because we slept on the tower and they have bunk rooms and all this stuff. But I was thinking that this tower is going to move. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I brought the motion sickness stuff just in case. I mean, I don't get motion sickness, but when you're out that far, like you said, you're not running up to Walgreens.
Yeah.
But it was rock solid. It did not. I mean, if you didn't look out the window, you would think that you were sitting in this room.
Oh man,
it's amazing. I mean, those pylons go down 100 feet into the sea floor.
That's crazy. Wow. This is very cool. So you mentioned this concept of like business is sport. And it makes me think about these adventures that you've been on and how you go to great lengths to document these experiences that you have. So can you talk a little bit about your mindset behind like what that means to you? Like business is a sport. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a sport in a way because it's a competitive atmosphere. And that's what sports is. It's competition. And I like to look at business as a sport. And I kind of had this mindset really over the last I would say 3 or 4 years. Is I grew up playing sports. And I always wanted to be a professional athlete at something, whether that was baseball, golf, surfing, whatever I was into, which was a lot of things. I kind of have a revolving door of hobbies. But as I got through college and started in the workforce, I kind of realized being in sales and being an entrepreneur, that was my way of becoming a professional. And so I changed my mindset up from this is a job, I'm in sales, or I'm starting a business, to this is my sport. And I get to do it every single day and I'm getting paid to do it. Therefore, I am a professional in business. And that's how I viewed it as a sport. And so I try to train like it's a sport too, right? Mentally, physically, because you have to be prepared for the competition.
Yeah. That's an interesting perspective on it. Like, I can see the parallels between something like sales in particular and let's say football, right? Like you do have to train, you have to practice. Even if you're at the top of your game, you can still get surpassed by somebody if you're not constantly learning and changing and keeping up to date with trends and things like that. But then the other side of it is like the act of doing it is also like a muscle that you have to keep using. Because if you get into a rhythm and you got things that, things are good and you've got a path that you are like, you're good with, somebody can come out of nowhere with a different technique or a different approach that might catch you off guard. And then you have to start from square one. So you kind of have to always be scanning the area or the landscape for new trends and new ways of doing things. But keeping that muscle strong, like that applies to lots of different things. That's a really cool way to look at it.
Oh yeah. And I do a lot of cold calling, or I did, to build up the book of business trading commodities. And, when you first start, it could be cold calling, it could be music, it could be a sport. But when you first start, you're not any good. Other people are better. But the more that you do it, the better that you get. And I think that, again, that's why I love looking at business as a sport, because I like growing as a person. I like building business. I find that very fun, looking at things and analyzing like, okay, why did this work? Why did this not work? How could I have done that better? And that's why I really liked marketing. And when I went to VCU and I got a degree in business marketing. And that's what I loved about marketing was we did these case studies where we would just look at a company and look at the problem or situation that they were in. We would we'd come up with our own, solution or route that they should take, or they would explain to us what the company did and we would analyze that. And that was just a lot of fun because it just kind of felt like a game in a way.
Yeah. I feel like, some of the best business people are really just great marketers figuring out business, I'm curious to know, I read somewhere that I think like one of your first projects was called Curb Crew or something. Could you maybe just talk about when did you discover entrepreneurship and start to kind of build this mindset of like thinking of it almost as an athlete, thinking of it as a sport, and first kind of getting into creating something of your own for the first time? What was that like?
Yeah, so actually, Curb Crew, I was watching a movie and I was probably 7 or 8. And the movie was called Extreme Days. It was like this movie about these guys that like snowboarded and rode motocross up and down California. And in that, one of them in like the opening scene, he was spray painting the numbers on the curb. And I was 8, 7, whatever age I was. And I thought, oh, wow, that looks like an easy thing to do. That'd be fun for me to go try. And so I made flyers and I printed them all off, and it was on blue paper. I'll never forget that. That's just the color paper we had. And we printed off, at least a couple dozen, maybe not hundreds, right? But I had my mom drive me around the neighborhood and I put them in mailboxes, pulled the flag up, put my blue flyer in there, and it was called Curb Crew. And it was, an attempt to make some money and provide a service and do something that maybe there wasn't a lot of competition on. I'm saying this now like I had these thoughts at 7, but
yeah,
this is just reviewing it. And I never got a call back. Nobody ever called me.
It's the best lesson you can ever get, right? It's just like, doesn't work. And it's like, oh man. So what was the service? It was like
so when you go to like a neighborhood and you see the curb and it has the house number painted on the street, like 3022.
Yeah.
And it's white background with black letters.
Yeah.
Right.
Curb Crew.
Yeah.
And it was just me, but I just came up with Curb Crew.
Curb Crew's a cool name.
Oh.
Like just simple, but
if I was a boomer, I would have hired you.
And I still to this day, I wonder who paints those.
No idea.
Is it the homeowner? Is it the HOA?
Right.
Is it like, is there a real business? Maybe that's going to be something I dabble back in.
Yeah, maybe that's the side hustle is Curb Crew 2.0.
Do you guys have any ideas? Like who prints those? Who paints those numbers?
Yeah,
no idea.
Some other 7-year-old kid that that was your competition.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to do it. Is like you in your neighborhood. You probably know your neighbors or some family down the road that's got a son or two that can maybe use something to do or activities during the summer when they're out of school, keep them out of trouble. Curb Crew 2.0, I'll pay you $50 to spray paint 5 houses. And here's the stencil. Just do the numbers. Come back to me with the cash.
Yeah, I would say that like as I review it, that was good exposure to rejection.
Yeah.
As a little kid, 7 or 8 years old, putting in the work, having, your mom or your dad drive you around and put in 50 flyers and not getting a single call back. I think that was a good experience because, right now, at 32, rejection is not even on my radar. It just flies right over my head. For better or for worse, I think it's for better when you're in sales and you're in that competitive business sport like we talked about, you're going to have rejection. But if you can look at it as a road sign passing by, then I think you're on your way to success instead of getting hung up on it.
Yeah. I have a background in sales and like cold calling as well.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yeah. And so, yeah. So I completely agree that you have to be comfortable with people just saying no, and you don't take it personal. It's like some will, some won't. So what? Next. It's
Did
like,
you get hung up on a lot?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course, dude. Yeah, people don't call back. You leave them a voicemail and they don't call you back. You text them a follow up. Yeah, it's part of it, And so you learn call it pig-headed discipline, right? You just do it anyway.
It's like Groundhog Day. I mean, it's like you do the same thing. And that's kind of how when you cold call a lot, that's how it feels. Is like, is this a definition of insanity?
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing every day and I'm expecting something different to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
And then out of nowhere, when you're pretty much done with it, you get a yes. And that's like the biggest yes you've ever heard in your entire week, day, month, whatever. You're like, okay, so I'm not going nuts. This works.
Well, luck is just like my dad always told me, he's like, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
And so if you have the preparation and you come across an opportunity, if you're prepared, then you can find success in whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that quote that you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. It's kind of the same thing, I
like that.
Yeah. It's like, we would like to think that when the opportunity comes, that we'll just like muster up the miracle to like do what we need to do. But sadly, that's not really true. It's like you have to go through years of failure and like learning to when the opportunity is there that you fall to the level of your training and you knock it out of the park and you get it right, So it sounds like you've done that for a long time. It sounds like entrepreneurship and kind of being a business person is maybe even in your DNA a little bit. And it's, probably what you've known for a long time, right?
Yeah, I definitely think sales and business is for certain people, and other people have different talents.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to jog back to that point that you made about or you're saying where you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember where I read this, or it's a Kobe Bryant quote, and basically somebody asked him how do you never get nervous? How do you stay focused? And he's like, if I'm nervous about a game or a shot, I didn't train enough.
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me. If you're going into something and you're kind of queasy or nervous, do better next time on your preparation. Mm-hmm. Because if you go into something dialed in and prepared, then you're going to perform.
Yeah. I was listening to Martin Short. You ever heard of Martin Short?
Don't know much about him.
Comedian, sketch comedy writer, a legend in the comedy world. He's been doing it for 50-something years at this point. And he was talking about preparation when it comes to live skits like SNL or doing something like a play where there's unknown variables every time you do it, no matter how hard you train. And to your point, and to the Kobe Bryant quote, you can train for the unknown. You can prepare yourself for any possibility. And you can do that enough times to where the training becomes part of the routine and it's not a task that you have to remind yourself to do. So that when you do it, you're going to put on an amazing performance. You're going to sell as many things as you can possibly sell. You're going to do with the thing the way that you can do it to the best of your ability. And if anything happens, you're prepared for it. There are no unforeseen scenarios when you've trained the way that you should.
Yeah, it's like the we're going to just trade sayings here, but and they say, entrepreneurs jump off a cliff and build the airplane as they're falling.
Yeah, I say that all the time, actually.
But it's winging it.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, pun intended. And that's a skill in itself, is being able to just operate by the seat of your pants on the fly. Like he was talking about, you train for moments that there's no real training for, but your training is to be adaptable and flexible and on your toes at all times.
Yeah. It's hard for some people. A lot of people aren't really that flexible.
I don't think anyone's good at it in the beginning,
Yeah, it's like being comfortable with the uncomfortable and learning to be okay with that feeling.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best way to describe it. And I think that I like being uncomfortable more than I like being uncomfortable more than I like being comfortable. Because if I'm comfortable, to me, that's stagnant. I'm not growing. I'm not pursuing something. I don't like to sit on the couch on the weekends. It's like the one thing that actually gives me anxiety. I mean, I don't get anxious about a lot of things, but if I sit on the couch and do nothing, even when I'm dog sick, it drives my mind crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine all three of us probably have that in common. I can definitely relate.
I think it's a 50-50 for me. I really like sitting on the couch, but I have a threshold. I can't do it all day. I can't not do something for an extended period of time, but I do. And we talk about balance a lot when it comes to things like this. I take a lot of intentional time to balance out the grind and like the always processing and then the always thinking and like, I could be doing this. I could be doing this. I could be doing this. But in reality, there's only like a handful of things that I can do in a day. I can't do everything on my list. And if I drive myself nuts trying to get everything done, I'm going to get exhausted and get burnt out. So taking intentional time, not all of it, but some, to not do anything and just like stop, watch TV, turn your mind off for a little bit, give yourself a little bit of a break. That's my process. Doesn't work for everybody, but
Yeah, but I think that if you have balance in your life, you're going to have a good life. And it's tough if you're trying to build something, it's tough to balance because half your mind, it's like the devil and the angel. And one side is saying, you need to rest or you need to go spend time with your family. And the other side is, there's other people selling more than you. There's other people that are getting that next ambassador. But how often, do you find yourself in that mental battle?
Pretty regularly. I mean, I would say for a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, it is a constant give and take. Some people settle more into one or the other. Some people settle more into I'll sleep when I'm dead type of thing. And I'll just grind until I can't because I'm dead set on building and growing the thing that I'm doing. I take the approach that's a little less of like the grind it until the wheels fall off because I want to make sure that I'm enjoying it at the same time. And I like to, try my best to keep the goal in mind, but also stopping to enjoy it every now and then, because if you don't, then what'd you do it for in the first place?
So do you have like cues where it's like, okay, if this happens, I know I'm out of balance? Have you ever identified those?
100%. Those things, they're not always obvious, so they can be very easy to miss. It's the subtle things when I recognize that it's pretty easy to solve a problem. I'm usually in a good place. Like I don't have any extraneous or over the top stressors that are keeping me from doing the things that I need to do. When I have a problem solving really simple issues, it's probably because I'm spent and I need to take a break. And you have to say, all right, well, I can't really do anything else. So I'm going to take 20, take a day, half a day, whatever you need.
Like day-to-day tasks, like where do you want to eat? If that takes you more than
I can't figure out where to
5
eat.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to go home. Yeah, I'm going to take
my life's out of balance. I can't figure out what burrito spot I'm going to.
Yeah, where are we getting pizza from? I don't know. There's too many pizza spots.
Yeah, my mind is fried, bro.
Yeah, it's all about balance, I think.
So you talked a lot about, business and the fun side of it. But no matter how productive we are, no matter how good we are, of course, we have moments of doubt and off days. How do you handle those types of days? Because obviously you're not the only one that relies on you. Like many other people rely on you as well. So it comes with pressure and all those things, right? So what do you do on off days and when maybe you have times where, call it self-doubt, call it, lack of motivation, whatever you want to call it. How do you approach those types of days?
I certainly have them, but I've developed a couple, I guess, strategies to combat that. And this is no secret sauce. I'm not hiding this, but I have a scorecard that I fill out. And on that scorecard, there's a little box that said wins and losses. And this, I'm going to tie this in actually when I was a kid and my dad would pick me up from a baseball game. And we would go over grows and glows. So the grows were things that you obviously needed to work on or that you didn't do well. But the glows were things that you did well, you shined. And so just having that perspective of, okay, we can identify the losses, right? But let's identify the wins, because the wins are the most important thing. And in the beginning of building a business or, an athletic career, whatever it is, you got to focus on the small wins, because those lead to the big wins. And if you can break that goal down into little bite-sized chunks along the way, when you have that bad day, you can look and find the win for the day. And it might be something as stupid as like, okay, I got this customer on the phone that I've been chasing for 3 or 4 months. I didn't sell anything today, but that was my win. So that's one strategy that I have, where you focus on the wins and the losses, and you write it down. You have a scorecard, and you do that every day. And then over the time, you can keep track of them. I would say the other strategy to combat the off days is to just, I just flood my head with positivity. There's very little space for negativity in my head, and it's 100% done on purpose, whether that's listening to a motivational podcast or watching, someone like Michael Jordan. If you watch The Last Dance, if you watch that series and you don't want to run through a wall, are you human?
Dude, I told you this.
Yeah, you
told you this.
And so like, it's just, for me, is like, I never have more than brief moments of self-doubt or brief moments of, hanging my head, because there's not enough space for it to occupy itself. There's not enough space for it to occupy my brain, because I'm always filling it with positivity. And that's my approach. That's what works for me. I don't know if that works for everyone, but those are kind of my 2 main things.
Yeah.
And also just like understanding that it's not going to kill you. Like, there are some really imminent threats to your life out there, but a bad phone call or traffic, it's just like, man, those are small potatoes at the end of the day. Like, are you going to remember that? I always also, I guess here's a third strategy. If you're not going to care about this in 30 days, is it a big deal?
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good perspective.
I would say no.
Yeah,
Probably
exactly.
not.
Yeah.
No. I like the list of the list of wins and what was it?
The wins and losses.
Wins and losses, and then when you were younger, it was grows and glow. Right. I like the lists, and I could probably adopt a little bit of that into my process for battling a little bit of the self-doubt. The small wins is something I definitely do as well. It's like noting the small wins. And something I've learned along the way is trying, you break the big goal into smaller chunks so you can achieve them easier, but understanding why that works also helps me. I like to dive into the topic and kind of break it down into its nuts and bolts, because that helps me make it make sense. So getting a small win is a dopamine boost. It's a small amount of dopamine, but it's a dopamine boost, and it triggers your reward center, which motivates you to achieve or strive to achieve another win. So getting a win makes it easier to get another win, and that compounds on itself, especially when the wins are really small. So you have 10 wins that amount to a large win at the end of a short period of time if you kind of go through that process.
You just think about a snowball effect, right?
Yeah.
Pack a little snowball, you roll it, then you find a hill. And when you roll it down the hill, how much faster does it get bigger? I mean, you just look at any of the tycoons in sports or business, and it seems like, they always were the greatest. No.
Right.
Every single person that's extremely successful in business, or Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, whatever, they all had to start at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fits into like adversity is the way. The obstacle is the way, right? The only way the only way there is through, right? When you think about the grows versus glows, it's essentially that same concept. So I know that you're a watch collector of sorts, right? Let's dive into watches, man. We had a little bit of a conversation before we started recording. I love watches. I have a handful of my own. But I love the like rubber strap look. Like I love the rubber strap look. And so the whole time we've been chatting, I've just been staring at your watch.
Yeah, it's cool.
So how did this journey of entrepreneurship lead you into watches? Like where did that come from?
I've always worn a watch because I was always outside riding my dirt bike as a kid, 90s kid before cell phones.
Yeah.
And then, when I started surfing, same thing. You can't take your phone out in the ocean, but you need to know what time it is. So I always wore a watch, and it was just something that was just part of my outfit. And then, went to college and started trading commodities. And then I kind of had an epiphany moment. I had so many, but I think that the one epiphany moment was I had learned all of this. I had learned a lot about business. And like we talked about earlier, I went to school for marketing. So how do people come to the market? How do they showcase a product? And I was buying patio furniture one time, and I had this watch on, not this one. I had another micro brand watch on, and the lady, I was checking out, swiping my card, and she's like, "Wow, that's a really cool watch." And so I started to tell her about it. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is the movement. This is the Power Reserve. This company's based out of the UK." And like halfway through it, I just completely stopped talking, and I realized I'm promoting someone else's product. This lady likes my taste. That's validation that maybe, my watch selection could generate some interest. But here I am talking about someone else's product. And that was one of, like I said, many light bulb moments that went off. It's like, okay, I think it's time for you to make your own product.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good like light bulb moment. When you're in the thick of it, you're like, why am I doing this for somebody else? I could do this for my own thing. It's like, it's such a wholesome, I feel like a wholesome realization, because it didn't come from an external force. You weren't influenced. You didn't have a mentor or a friend or somebody else that said you should do this, and you just took their word for it. Mm-hmm. You came to your own realization, which is like a deeper formation of this being a good idea.
Yeah. And, after that, it was a lot of just research about what does the watch space look like? What competition is there at certain price points? What do you get if you buy $1,000 watch? What do you get if you buy a $5,000 watch? What do you get if you buy a $200 watch? And that was a fun period too, was just learning about watches, because up until that point, it was just a hobby. At that point, I probably had 15, maybe 20 watches. Nothing super extravagant or luxury. Most of them were just actually kind of just like Saturday watches, because I was surfing, riding my mountain bike, doing stuff around the house. So I didn't really have any like really expensive timepieces. But I started learning about these watches, and then actually hired a designer who did some 3D CAD renderings. And so back and forth with him, and I designed the watch myself. Every single dimension on this, I came up with. Every, detail. I sat down and, wrote a list of what do I want the crown to do or to look like. Do I want it to be smooth? Do I want it to be a guarded crown? Do I want it to be exposed? Things like that. And then after I got all the information, kind of compiled the whole thing, came up with a name for the watch, and picked out the movement. It was still probably a month or two before I really jumped off the cliff, because it was just, is this the right move? Is this the right time? Mm. But I mean, I lost sleep over it. I mean, it was keeping me up at night. And I have this one Instagram reel of Steve Harvey. And in the reel, he's like, man, do that thing that keeps you up at night. Do that thing that bothers you. And I'm like, this is bothering me. I'm going to do it. So I just pushed my poker chips in and bet on myself and just got that snowball packed and started rolling it down the hill.
Dude,
Yeah, that's
you're
awesome.
getting me pumped. Can you hand me that watch?
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, okay. So it comes to life. You get the idea and you think, all right, I got to do this. When you started to come up with this idea, who was like the person you had in mind? You know, like who is Mater made for? This is a super nice watch.
So I thought the easiest person to target or advertise would be someone similar to myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's designed, and the whole brand kind of exists for the guy that has workwear hanging next to a 3-piece suit in his closet.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's me. And I'm not faking it. And I'm not talking a life that I don't live, because you can come to my house and I have Carhartt hanging next to a Joseph A. Banks suit in my closet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Very similar. And I'm just playing around with the crown on this watch. This is like a very nicely built watch. This is awesome, man. Thanks so much for bringing this in and chatting with us. So yeah, you're like a man of adventure, right? You also spend time at a desk and on the phone, also spend time in the real world. And like, I had so much fun, like watching the videos of these different adventures that you went on. So you're also very heavily into, or like fascinated by motorsport and speed and adventure. You mentioned Travis Pastrana as well before we started recording. So you mentioned, building it for someone like yourself. So if somebody, were to ask like, well, what's Hayden all about? Is it speed? Is it adventure? Is it class? I mean, I guess it's all these things, right?
I mean, I think there's so much to unpack there. I think that I unintentionally, back to the product here, am kind of blurring the line between luxury and rugged. And I really just want the brand to exist to encourage people to go out and explore and make your life meaningful and chase your potential. I mean, max out your potential as a human. And, one of the things that just really, something else that just keeps me up at night is I don't want to get to the end of my life and have any sort of regrets. And it's not a regret like, I should have treated so-and-so differently. These are, I'm talking a bigger, broader picture here is like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and not have tried everything cool that exists in the world. Because there's so much stuff out there, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
There's so many cool people. And I think if you can get addicted to learning and get addicted to that exploration, then you're going to find some amazing people in this life, and you're going to find some amazing places. And so that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to put our watches in cool or unique high octane environments, find people in those environments, in that arena, and tell their story. And hopefully their stories can inspire people to go do something out of your comfort zone, maximize your potential. The same thing that we've been talking about. And the watches, that's just the vehicle to promote that mentality. I've personally just found a lot of satisfaction in that mentality, and I just want to share it with people.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely resonate with it for sure. It's like I'm obsessed with learning. I'm just constantly like, go, go, go. There's more to do, like some people call it toxic positivity. And I'm like, I don't know about that, man. Like
I don't even think it's toxic.
Is it unrelatable or is it toxic?
It could be unrelatable because other people are like, must be nice, right? And it's like, well, you got to choose that. Like you have to choose to to exist like that, Yeah. It doesn't happen the other way around, right? Like,
and like anything else, like the bias or the bias toward being positive versus being, neutral or negative is a choice, but it's a choice that you have to make all the time, which then it becomes something that is not chore. It's just a part of who you are and part of what you do. And it's like, I try to see the positive or see the good in most, if not all situations, regardless of their inherent nature, because that's out of your control. Something isn't good or bad. It just happened. And you can choose to be upset or think it's bad or, feel bad about it, or you can choose to see the positive of it. And like it can be hard. And in most of the times it is, but that's why it's worth it. Because at the end of the day, you're like, that probably sucked a little bit, but I'm choosing to see the good parts about what really happened.
It sounds like emotional resilience.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And you have to exercise that muscle to get it bigger and stronger. At first, it's a choice, but I think the stronger it gets, the easier it is to maintain. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Definitely does.
Yeah.
So you have this experience where you're speaking to this woman, you're basically explaining a product that doesn't belong to you. Light bulb moment goes off, and this spark ignites for you to do your own thing. So you love watches, come up with the idea for a watch brand, and then what happens, right? You design it, and I mean, surely it didn't just go smooth sailing, right? Like, I mean, what was that journey like to coming up with the idea and then like turning it into something real and actually launching the brand?
Birthing the brand.
How do I say this appropriately? You ever have those moments where you just like can't breathe? It's like your muscles tense up like this. That's what you have for months until until you have some validation that what you just did is going to work.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, yes, it's going to work. And there was definitely some, I guess I had expectations that were far different from reality. I thought, man, I know enough people and this is a great product. It's at a great price point. There's tons of value packed into this product at this price point. And my expectation was, we're going to sell out. I'm going to drop this and all of them are going to sell pre-sale. This is going to be dope. And it did not happen. It was not even close to happening. And it was a gut punch, man. But we've talked about this. You get better and better at rejection, the more rejection you have. So it was emotionally taxing. But looking back now, I've gone through that. And I mean, my life is back to normal. And we have momentum. We're selling watches and we have ambassadors and we have that validation. And so the next time you go into that pit or that arena, you're going to get out. It just might take a little while.
The Salulu is Delulu.
Yeah.
Like, I love that quote, right? It's like, it probably like failed up front, but it's like, you got to just kind of continue being crazy if you want it to work, because no one's going to do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's not dissimilar to kind of how we got things going at Vera House. We didn't have any external validation. It was all essentially ours that we conjured out of thin air. It was like, this is definitely going to work. We didn't have any reason to believe that it would. We have no examples of like what we were doing that was going to work the way that we thought it would. But, being a little Delulu, it'll get you across the line.
The Salulu is Delulu. I'll have to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, man.
Well, you have to be kind of crazy to to start a business or to pursue it. I can't remember who said that, but that quote always stuck with me. It's like, if you're not thinking outside the box or if you're not pushing the envelope, then maybe that's not the right path for you to go try to start a business, because you have to be your own cheerleader day in and day out, like you were just talking about. You got to convince yourself first that it's going to work. And I think once you can do that, then you can convince other people, because they can see that confidence and they can feel that passion. And when they see or they feel that, people buy into that. I mean, people buy into people buy into stories. they don't always necessarily buy the product. I mean, you think about the most famous, brand ambassador deals. Name any one of them. People usually follow it because of the person attached to it.
Yeah.
Right.
People follow people.
Mhm.
Right. Like people follow brands because of the people involved with the brands.
Right.
And that just goes back to like the storytelling piece. Is like, I love telling stories of cool people that I meet. I love, putting together these films and coming up with just shot lists and telling that story and entertaining people and saying like, look over here. Look at this guy.
Yep.
Look what he's doing. Look over here. Look at this guy. Look what he's doing. And it's just so much enjoyment in that. And I've learned so much in just a short amount of time that Mater Made has existed about myself, about the people that exist in the world. And it goes back to being addicted to learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your logo, your brand is, it's on the side of race cars. It's on the wrists of fascinating people, tattoo artists. It's all over some very, very cool stuff that clearly comes from you, and who you are, and obviously the people around you as well. So, for anybody who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about the types of people that you partner with, right? Because I've seen the videos, but for anybody who hasn't seen it, what are the types of brands and people and ambassadors that you partner with?
Backtracking a little bit, the logo, my wife, shout out Rachel, designed the logo.
All right.
I love it.
Yes. So amazing, just creative, and we balance each other really well.
Well, you're a family man. It's like, it's an important thing. I'm sure your family is the backbone of you and your business,
Well, Mater Made being the Mater family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I just wanted to say, like, I can't take credit for the logo.
There you go. Yeah, it is a family affair, family effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, the people that we partner with are people that have that same ethos, that same mentality of, okay, I'm pursuing excellence in my craft. Whether it's Marshall Stalker, who's the Formula Enterprise driver, but also, he does a lot of overseas landscape for, investors, right? To look at a country and say, is there economic development here? He's perfecting that craft and he's going and pursuing his goals. And it doesn't always have to be people that are trying to be the best at something, but we're going to build out a bigger team of ambassadors for sure. And some of it is just my personal interests of, wow, I really think that's cool. There's got to be cool people involved in that category. Or, maybe it's someone we meet along the way in passing, just networking, and it's not a category or sport that I personally have an interest in. But if that story is relatively aligned with innovation, exploration, and being well-rounded, which is the 3 pillars, then there's a potential that's going to be included, or they would be.
What do you think is the pillar that people struggle with the most out of those 3?
That's a great question. I would say well-roundedness.
Yeah.
I think it's a blessing and a curse for me to have this revolving door of hobbies and interests, jack of all trades, master of none. And I struggled with that a lot, growing up, because I never went on to play baseball in college. That was kind of my main sport, was baseball. But I also rode my mountain bike. I rode, motorcycles, surfed, snowboard, all the board sports. But I never went pro in any of it. And it goes back to what we talked about, is like when I found business, I found that as my sport. And so I think that I'm very well-rounded, but I don't know if that's a good thing because a lot of times I struggle with chasing the shiny object of, oh man, I should go research like, how do they make tattoo guns? And then I'm over here researching like, okay, what is the next big business in like the fashion? And so I think I'm good at being well-rounded, but I think a lot of people are better at not being well-rounded, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and he was pointing at me because like I'm the same way, man. Like I've got like a million interests at one time.
Yeah.
You know the full quote though, and of course I'm going to botch it, but like, you know, they say a jack of all trades is a master of none, but they actually leave out the second half of that quote, and the second half of the quote is something like is being better than a master of one. And they leave out the second half of that quote.
Well, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
Probably makes you feel much better about being
and
jack of all trades.
It points to someone being a bit more well-rounded as definitely a better thing. And this is always an argument, right? Like the you know, there's a great book called The E-Myth that talks about the generalist versus the specialist. Generally, an entrepreneur is going to be a generalist. The entrepreneurs that struggle the most are the ones that have like a very specific specialty. And they often become the freelancers or the contractors that the entrepreneurs hire.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can go fast alone, but you can't go far.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so I think that, you know, being a generalist is better suited for, you know, starting a business or being an entrepreneur, because at the end of the day, eventually you're going to scale it big enough to where you can afford to hire experts in each field.
Yeah.
Right.
And building a team and trusting that team.
Yeah.
Knowing your weaknesses and finding people that don't have that weakness
Mhm.
and plugging them into your machine.
Yeah.
Finding people better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then being able to do a number of things, maybe not all of them as good as a master in any specific discipline, is a 100% necessity. Is if you're becoming an entrepreneur, if you're just starting your business, if you're still, you know, if you're growing and running the business, you have to do 10, 15, 12, 13 things all at the same time and relatively well, because it is just you and maybe a small team to begin with until you can get to that place where you hire that expert.
Well, even just understanding, you know, like if you're going to go, so kind of jumping around here, but, you know, trading commodities, one of my customers who he's since retired, I asked him, I said, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur or a young guy looking to start a business, because he had started his business? And he said, so many times I see people going into business in a category that they don't know enough about. And so I think what he was kind of referencing is what we're talking about here is you don't have to be an expert at, you know, accounts receivable. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be an expert at X, Y, and Z, but you should have a basic understanding of that. And so that when you can communicate with that team of experts, you can put it all together.
Yeah. You know enough to be able to communicate about it.
Yeah. I have this saying I love to use as like when I cold call people, I, you know, tell them I've been here for 8 years, blah, blah, blah. And my little one-liner that I always throw in there is like, I know enough to be dangerous. I'm not an expert yet, but I know enough to be dangerous.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's good. Can't be giving away all your secrets though, man.
These are just, I mean, we all have like a list of one-liners, I'm sure that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, like, you know, happy Friday. How you doing? Good. I can't be mad on a Friday, can I? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of things we repeat on the show, or, you know, you have phrases that you start to learn that you just say all the time. And it's like, oh, I never realized I just say that. 7, 6, 7. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just say stuff like all the time. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize I said that 4 times a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only until we watch the episodes back. It's like, man, we say that one thing all the time now.
Yeah.
We gotta update the Rolodex.
Update the Rolodex. Maybe think of Rolex.
Oh, here we go.
So, I mean, I guess speaking of luxury, right? Do you have an opinion on luxury watches or just luxury in general? Like, do you have a philosophy around luxury? Like, you know, is that something that you attained to achieve as like some sort of luxury status with your brand, or was it maybe a different approach? What is your kind of philosophy around that?
I think I have a more appreciation for luxury after starting my own brand. And I think that a lot of people maybe don't quite understand, and I'll give you an example, a very crystal clear example. Don't understand why certain products cost what they do, like let's say in the watch space. Because in the micro brand space, almost all of us do not manufacture our movements. So the movement in an automatic watch, which, there's different kinds and different complications, but the movement is generally made by a few people, right? We have a Miyota 9015. So the company's called Miyota. They make the movement. And very early on in this design process, I thought to myself, I want to make my own movement. I want to be vertically integrated. I don't want to buy someone else's movement. And I did a lot of research. I did a lot of talking and asking questions. And if you're going to make your own movement, I mean, this is not by any means, the Bible guideline, but you're going to spend about $1 million to do the R&D, the testing, the patents, all that stuff. And so having said that, and now you guys know the price tag, essentially, again, of making your own watch movement. You look at Tudor or Rolex, or you look at these other, well-established brands, and they manufactured their own movement. But you have in the back of your mind, well, there's a reason why that watch costs what it costs. And I think I have a more appreciation for luxury on that level.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we still want to be seen as a luxury brand. And in my opinion, we are, because I did a lot of, communicating with other micro brand owners that I know. I ran through the specs of our watch, how many joules it's got, the beat frequency, power reserve, all these things. And then, they said, cool, you get like a, $900 watch. And I was like, no, we're going to retail for $625. And they're like, whoa, that's a lot of value in that price point. And maybe it's just because, I come from trading commodities where it's usually focused on the volume. And so that's kind of my approach in the watch game here is I really want that brand awareness to spike. And so I'm trying to come out with a bang and deliver also just a good value for the customer. But yeah, that's kind of my appreciation to your question about luxury.
I can tell you care about it a lot. And, as somebody, I have some very nice watches, and, like feeling the watch and using the crown and changing the time on it, like feels very similar to like a very expensive watch. And that's why I can say like, yeah, it's awesome. And it's exciting to see like what you've done. I'm sure you've learned a lot from it. It's cool to see somebody create a product that's like not easy to create, right? Like the average person is not somebody who wants to like start a brand and make money is maybe selling t-shirts or something, right? Like they're not thinking, oh, let me go manufacture a watch.
And for the record, I'm not making these in my kitchen.
Right. No,
this is all professionally,
of course,
private label manufacturing, all professionally outsourced, full scale production runs. Because, a couple of my friends, when I kind of told them about the idea, they're like, how'd you even learn how to make a watch?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know how to make one. I don't have the CNC machines. Right. I don't have the,
Yeah.
Well, it comes back to the generalist thing, right? And even when you talked about the movement piece, it reminds me of even something like Formula One, right? You see like a Formula One team, like not all of them design their own engines, right? They build the car, right? They build the car and then they buy an engine and put the engine in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of reminded me of that. And so,
it's
totally
a good parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting a company to sell a product like a watch, something I would have never thought as like a realm, a possibility or industry to get into. So, when we came across the brand, we came across you, learned that you were a founder, learned that this is your company. The story was already fascinating because I don't know anyone that makes watches. I don't know anyone that runs a watch company. So this is like a very cool conversation I have with you and to learn about the ins and outs of you and the business and what goes into bringing a product like this to life, because we all have really good ideas most of the time, or we think we have good ideas. Getting your idea from your head onto a piece of paper or onto a document and then into the real world is an incredible journey. So it's really cool to hear.
Yeah. And I think, as we're talking here, maybe another reason why I chose watches was like we talked about earlier, I'm always watching, business development podcast or my favorite entrepreneur, I do these research projects where I'll pick a person and I'll watch or listen to every single piece of content that person is involved in. And I can't remember exactly who said this, but they said, you want to know how to make an impact? Serve the most people. And they said, look at LeBron James. Okay. How many people does he serve every time he's on the TV? And he makes an impact. And so I kind of looked at a watch and I thought, okay, watches are applicable or relatable because almost anyone can wear one. And so I think that was just another little check mark of this is a valid idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think to an entrepreneur, I mean, to anybody, obviously, but especially someone like yourself, it's easy to underestimate the value of time. And like, I'm aware of how cliche that sounds.
No pun intended.
Right. But like, it is like so true, you know, and especially for someone who, like you mentioned, like the shiny object syndrome, right? And like, I'm somehow discovering as an adult that I have ADHD and like, you know, perception of time is like warped actually. And I think, again, I can only speak for myself, but it's like time can be this point of stress where you just always feel like I'm losing time. And the truth is we are. Like, you know, as time goes on, we can't get it back. We'll never get this moment back. Right. And so I think people have so many other obligations and priorities and things going on in their life that it's easy to just overlook time because it's evergreen and it's like it always exists. So we just overlook it and we don't really think about it. And if you think about gratitude practices and meditation, it's all focused on like just being in the moment and like sensing and feeling and just living inside of the time that you have in that moment. And a watch is a great way to remind you of that. You know, it's like you're just always aware of time. And sure, that could stress you out a little bit, but it's also a great thing too.
Well, I got a couple of things about the whole idea of time. And time is a currency that we spend with no idea how much we have left.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I always like have this saying where it's like life is like yogurt. It has an expiration date. The problem is it's not printed. You don't know what your expiration date is.
Yeah.
And so it's just maximizing the time that you do have and cherishing every single moment and trying to pull out the good, kind of the things that we talked about earlier. But to your point about, you know, time goes by quickly. Something else that I researched was, why does time feel like it's going faster as I get older? Have you guys ever felt that way?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well, there's actually a reason. And it's because when you're a child and when you're, you know, a young adult, your brain is taking mental photos all day long and it's stacking those photos up. The problem is as you get older, your brain takes less and less photos into your memory bank. And so there's this illusion that time goes faster as you get older. That's one part. The second part is you're in such a routine as an adult that's the enemy of appreciating your life is a routine. And this is just my opinion. But when you get stuck in that routine, I mean, I've had weeks that have been routine and they fly by.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, how is it already Friday? It's because you do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to differentiate the days. There's nothing to turn your brain off access, like we talked about earlier, traveling.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we have neural pathways, right? And it's like, the more you travel down that path, like the deeper the groove gets, you know? And it's like, then you're just stuck in that pathway and you just repeat it over and over again. And you mentioned it earlier, like doing the same thing over and over again. It's like the definition of insanity, right? So what's been the hardest part because we're in the like digital first world, right? So everybody that thinks about starting a company is thinking about like, let's launch a software product or let's do this or digital that or Bitcoin or like whatever, right? But you have a real physical product that means something that you're putting on people's wrists as far across the world as you can. What's been like the hardest part of that?
I mean, there's certainly challenges. I don't know if there's one that like necessarily really sticks out. I mean, I guess the main challenge would be, getting traction.
So just
And-
like, like, is it marketing? Is it getting in touch with the right people? Like you've gotten a hold of some pretty cool people and done some pretty cool stuff. Like,
I've been really blessed to come across people that have bought into the vision. To scale the marketing and to grow the social media page, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
As you guys know. I mean, paying ambassadors, like I said, I've been very blessed to have people that have essentially basically said, you know what? We believe in what you're doing. You don't need to pay us, Obviously, we give them free product.
Sure.
We give them free content. But that's definitely a challenge looking forward is, I'm a bulldog in a boardroom. I will call anyone. I am not afraid of conversation. But when you pursue certain people, there's levels to this game that all the young guys always talk about, right? There's levels to this, but you got to have some pockets to get some of these people that can move the needle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 million followers, those people aren't going to buy into your little cute story and say, oh yeah, let's help you get there. So I'd say that would be a challenge is I know where to go. I don't have a problem going there. I just don't have those resources yet.
Yeah.
It's almost like getting in the room before you're qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
That door closes, you stick that foot out like, hang on.
Yep.
Can I get a sec?
Yeah.
You got an extra seat?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. So tell us about one of these trips that maybe there's a crazy moment that stand out, right? Like you've flown in a private jet, you've taken a boat 30 miles to the middle of the ocean. Like, was there ever like a oh shit moment or like where something didn't go as planned or where it was like,
I've got two.
Okay, please.
Okay. I've got two. The first one is back to the Frying Pan Tower. Okay. You're 32 miles offshore. And when you're that far in a boat is one thing. And we went out there with Mark Labachetta, who is a local diver in Wilmington. And he knows Richard and he's familiar with those waters. And so I thought, well, we're going to go on the tower and interview Richard. I'm like, but I'm not going to go that far and not, snorkel. I call it snorkel.
Yeah.
They were spearfishing. I can't hold my breath that long. But when you get in the water that far away from land, you feel like a fish out of water because that is not your natural habitat. And, I put the mask on and I'm kind of just bobbing and, 4-foot seas are just gonna, you kind of float over them. And then when you put your face in the water and it looks like the most insane fish tank that you can ever think of because it's the Gulf Stream out there. So it's very clear. It's very warm. And I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now, but I saw 35, maybe 50 4-foot barracuda all within 15, 20 yards of me. And then you lift your head up and you're like, oh, back to the real world. And you put it back down and, oh man, there's those barracudas again. And just floating out there like that, man, in the middle of the ocean. I mean, I had a wetsuit on, so I was a little buoyant, but I'm just floating like a dead seal. And I'm just taking it all in. And I'm watching these guys dive and, go try to shoot African pompano and hogfish and all these other things. And that was just a really surreal moment. And then probably like the last 5 or 10 minutes, I was, just staring at the ocean floor. It's about 30 feet deep there. And I see this, I mean, it's got to be at least 7-8 foot nurse shark. Man, very strange set of emotions. Seeing multiple sharks like that, and you're not looking at them in an aquarium with a glass between you.
Yeah.
Dude, if they want to come up here, they're going to come up here, and I can't get away.
Yeah.
So that would be the one, that's the first one that I thought of where it was just kind of like that, like, man, I'll remember this for the rest of my life moment. And the second one was when we went out to El Mirage, and it is in the middle of nowhere, Southern California. It's about, I'd say maybe 45 minutes to an hour north of LA, out in the desert. And I had a friend of mine that was already it's a dry lake bed where they do land speed racing, and they've done it for a long time. It's a very historical venue. I say venue, a very historical GPS coordinate.
Yeah.
And so I said, dude, I can't really get like accurate directions. Can you just drop me a pin? And so he just drops me a pin. And the way that it was set up was the true entrance where the ranger station is on this side of the dry lake bed, which is miles long. Well, his location where they had set up the pits for Aaron Brown and his team of drivers was at the other end. And so we kind of came in the back way. And when I say you're in the middle of nowhere, I mean, dude, you don't see houses for 25, 30 minutes. And you're in the middle of the desert and you can see the mountain range and off in the distance. And we're going down this paved road, and all of a sudden, it's like out of a movie. You crest over the horizon. It's like real faint heat waves, and the pavement stops. And I'm like, huh. I'm like looking around. I'm like, we're nowhere near a dry lake bed. So I'm like, okay. The positive side of my brain is like, yeah, it's probably just like, you can't see it. It's probably just like over that next dirt hill. No. Pavement ends, and my wife Rachel's with me, and the pavement ends, and the GPS is still navigating us, but these are not roads. These are legitimate like UTV trails with giant potholes and off-access camber corners. And we're in this rental car just bouncing along and just praying and hoping that we're going somewhere that is safe, because out there's all these abandoned weed farms that have been completely just torched. And there's trailers, and I mean, it looks like a scene out of Breaking Bad. And there's stray dogs, and there's big old 4x8 sheets of plywood that people have like spray painted like street names or like compound names on. And I was trying to keep my wife so calm. It's okay. It's probably just over this next hill. It's all good. Yeah. No. I think we're in the right place. And she's almost in tears. I mean, she probably was in tears, but I was just focused on white knuckle driving down these ridiculous paths. And there was a point where we passed a truck full of people that did not look like they were up to any good.
Yeah.
And Rachel, I could just see her just holding onto that door handle like, no, this door is not going to ever open. And we eventually get there. But that ride in, and by the way, it was almost at sunset. So we didn't really have a lot of time to come up with a different plan or turn around. Heaven forbid we got a flat tire. What if we bent the rim? What if we broke down?
Yeah.
But these are the adventures that I'm telling you, when you're uncomfortable, no good story comes from things going right.
Yeah.
And so while it was at the expense of my wife's mental peace,
Totally worth it.
I got an incredible story.
I watched the video of the time that you spent out there, and it was pretty cool. It's definitely cool. And I was like very fascinated by that guy's truck, of how they like the whole setup in the back of that truck where the cars just pull on top of the whole thing. Like pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, they're professionals, right? Aaron Brown has dozens of land speed records. He built the garage shop, and he has a fantastic team. And every single guy on that team has bought into the same vision that he has, which is we want to build top-notch quality race cars. And they kind of get to choose their, clients. And a lot of it is, like private collections for people. And they restore some like really historical old NASCAR cars. And they are top notch. And I mean, I asked my dad one time, because we dabble in land speed racing, and I said, like, what separates Aaron Brown, man? Like, what is different? And my dad just goes, they're professionals. And they are.
Yeah.
I mean, their setup is top notch. They are so dialed, man. And like, just, there's no other way to put it. They're dialed.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
It's incredible. Yeah. I'm just looking at some of the cars that they have out on the raceway out there. and just some pictures of Aaron Brown and his team. And this is right up my alley. I think we both like cars. But
Yeah.
I know you're an F1 guy. I like anything with a motor in it, especially stuff like this, which is like kind of on the edge of what cars are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like this is the cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he goes 230 miles an hour, or maybe I think he's rebroken the record multiple times for his C Street class, the Roadster class. But I mean, you're going 230, 240 miles an hour on dirt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
On dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just,
And I'm
I
like,
can't
how
even
do you,
fathom.
I'm like,
what-
I asked him, I'm like, what does that feel like, man? I mean, does it feel, he's like, you got to drive the car the entire time.
Yeah, you can't lose focus,
Mhm.
right?
No.
Like, yeah. I mean, that thing's flying. Like, it's pretty cool.
At
to
200
see.
miles an hour, just at 200 even, you're traveling the length of a football field every second. So one Mississippi,
all right. That's
and
insane.
you have traveled a football field.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
I have a couple like favorite shots from your videos that I just thought were like super cool. And one of them is at the end of that video. I think it's like a drone shot where it goes up and then you can see the whole desert landscape that you just explained.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's an awesome shot. And then of course the time lapse at the frying pan was like really, really cool. Do you have a favorite shot? Because obviously you got some cool camera gear and, great people that come with you to some of these trips.
Yeah, shout out Sam Boyd. That's my dog. He's made both of those videos, the El Mirage and the Frying Pan Tower. And I don't know if I have a favorite shot. I think that each one, whether it be the Willie Kirby documentary or those other videos that we talked about, each one, here I am being a generalist again. Each one is just special in its own way. And every single one of those projects was so fun, man. That's the point of why I started the company, was to go meet cool people, find cool stories, and then tell the story. And, hopefully inspire people to do the same with their life or their business. But yeah, I don't know if I have a particular shot. I think each one is just so special.
Yeah.
The project at least.
I can, I mean, they're all great. I can definitely relate. It's the pursuit of documenting it to begin
Mhm.
with that is like the reward, I guess you would say. Yeah, it's very cool. I think we've got a lot in common in that way, because even this podcast itself, it's similar in a way. It's like the podcast is an engine to have great conversation and
Mhm.
meet cool people. The same way that your watch is like
Yeah.
a way to have great conversation and meet cool people, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, kind of sticking your foot in the door, right? Like
Yeah.
your watch is that foot, right? The podcast is that foot. It's like, hey, but wait, and it's
Yeah.
like, it gives you a reason to connect with people that maybe otherwise you weren't able to. And I think documenting does that as well, like documenting these experiences and being able to share them with other people and saying like, look, instead of having to always tell everybody what you're about, you can show everybody what you're about and let them like kind of experience it and see it through your lens. And I think especially when you have a team that makes great content like you do, people, they get a feeling that they can't have from just a phone call, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think like a lot of the work that you've done is super cool. So what's next for Mater Made? Like any adventures on the horizon?
Man, we've got probably I'd say at least 5 or 6 more watch models drummed up, and kind of the goal here is to create a toolbox of watches, right? So in the watch space, there's dive watches, there's field watches, there's GMTs. You have all these different kind of complications. You have a dress watch, whether that be like a dress watch on a leather band or a dress watch on a stainless bracelet. So we've got, like I said, probably 5 or 6 watches in the design queue, just trying to scale slowly and make sure we don't get too far out ahead of our skis. We talked about more ambassadors, right? More trips, doing more epic things, and just seeing where it goes. I mean, I think long term, like real big picture here, is creating that legacy brand where it's something that, showcases for years after I'm gone, after Rachel, my wife's gone, like all the work that we put into it there's still something to show for it. And whether my kids want to pick that ball up and run with it or not, to be determined. But, when someone dies, most of the time, their legacy lasts for sure during their kid's life, probably throughout their grandkids' life. But after that, man, I mean, most of the time, it sucks to say, but you just kind of fade away. I mean, how many people have you met that know their great grandparents' full name, what they did for work, what kind of music did they listen to, whatever, the personal details, right? And so I just kind of like wanted to make this brand something that when I'm not here anymore, not necessarily about me, but that lifestyle that we've all talked about is, maximize your potential, do things that are worth talking about and remembering. I want that to be my legacy. And I want that legacy to be able to live on through something and be tangible. And for strangers to pick it up and look at everything that the brand stands for and has done.
I love it, dude. You're getting me hyped up, man.
Getting pumped up.
Yes. So what are the watches in your personal rotation, right? Like what are the watches that you kind of swap between?
I mean, I'll be honest, I have other micro brands, I've got buddies that own micro brands, so I own a couple of those. And before I started mine, I had Seikos and Casios and just kind of I had a lot of Rip Curl watches because I like their surf watches. But I typically kind of stick to the same one. This is like my go-to, and this is the Dawn on the classic white.
Yeah, I love the white
And then
face.
I've got the orange FKM rubber strap. And it's kind of like that blend of just like athleisure, sort of. You could dress it up, you could dress it down. It's comfortable. And this one in particular, every time I do something for the brand, this is the one that I wear. So I kind of have like a special highlight reel going on with this one.
Yeah.
So that's why I wore that watch today.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a good looking watch, man. I love like the clean, like white face of a watch. Like it just has that. Yeah. It's got like a sporty look, but it could also be like a classy look. Like, yeah, you can do anything with it, man.
Yeah. We got red straps, blue, black. So we have a little diversity there in case you wanted to color match it to your Porsche or your boat or something like that.
Yeah.
So how does someone go about doing that? Like where can they learn more about Mater Made, look at your collection of watches, make a purchase? What do you recommend that they do to get started?
Matermade.com.
Nice.
Yep.
Love it.
All online, all e-commerce, shipped straight to your door. Free shipping. We've got some stuff coming up for Black Friday. So we're going to do a sale where if you, buy a regular watch, which comes on a stainless bracelet, then we'll throw in an FKM rubber strap with it. And we'll hook guys up with stickers. We've got some little die cut air fresheners. I gave you guys a couple of those. So that's kind of what we got going on.
Awesome.
Coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Any new ambassador deals on the horizon?
I mean, we got some that like just don't really have any legs yet.
Yeah.
But I've got so many ideas. I mean, I have a Google Doc, man.
I'm sure.
I'm telling you, like, of just people or industries that I find fascinating. And I think that there's some validity to it. So I would just say, keep us in mind if you're doom scrolling on Instagram and you want to figure out what some new watch companies doing. Check us out at Mater_made. Take a lot of pride in our YouTube channel. That's where we put up a lot of that long form content that we spent a good amount of time on crafting and creating. But yeah, it's just much of the same. It's just going out and finding cool things, cool people, and trying to sell some watches.
Yeah. It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
And if you could give one message to any creative or entrepreneur that's listening to this that maybe is trying to do their own thing, trying to build their own brand and make it, but they're feeling stuck, like what would be the advice that you would give to them?
Be a good self-motivator. Be a good self-cheerleader. Be patient, which is hard to do. And it's very hard for me. But you're not going to build your giant business in 2 years. It's going to take decades. And the last thing that I would say, I think, is the most important, which is fall in love with the process, not the result. Because if you fall in love with the result, you'll keep chasing the result.
100%.
And you won't ever be satisfied. I mean, one of my, again, taking it back to trading commodities, one of my customers who's on the verge of retiring, I call him T-Money. And I said, T-Money, what are you going to do, man? Like, you're in your 70s. And he's a very, very, very wealthy guy. I'm like, what are you going to do, man? You going to play golf? You going to, buy a boat? What are you going to do? He's like, I'm not going to do any of that. He's like, I'm still in love with the process. I'm still in love with the job. I'm still in love with building the business. He's like, the result, what's the result? Because I asked him, I said, when you get to the top of your game, I'm like, what is that like? Are you satisfied? Like, is there an end to this chase? And that's kind of what the vibe that I got. And so I kind of just crafted my own message to tell that story, which is fall in love with the process, not the result.
Yeah. That's great. That's great advice. It is.
I hope that I have a nickname as cool as T-Money when I'm 70 years old. You know what
Seriously.
I mean? Well, man, I know that Perry and I both have firsthand experience of something you just mentioned earlier, which was your patience. And you're definitely a patient guy. I know that him and I both, I think we can say we've definitely been inspired by your story, your journey, your products. And yeah, just want to say thank you to you and both your wife, Rachel, for being here, spending some time with us and sharing your journey, your story, and your brand with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, man. This is first class. It's good conversation. And hopefully, I mean, my goal was to learn something. I learned something from you guys. Hopefully you learned something from me, and everybody listening. Hopefully they just continue the path that we've discussed.
Likewise. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll have you back soon.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll be ready.
This podcast was recorded at Vera House Studios in Richmond, Virginia, and produced by Perry Young and Mike Metzger.